everyone. So I'm Katie Atsu, and I actually took a different route. So I ended up leaving home and going to Ottawa for school. I ended up going to Carleton University, and I did there. So I graduated already this year, June, in journalism, and women and gender studies was my minor. So that was pretty cool. But of course, with university, it's like there's ups and downs. My first year, how it started is I actually lived on res, so that helped me create like more friends and navigate that space as well as what Kadar said. Frosh was a major big thing for my first. And I know they tell you in high school like university is where you're gonna meet your lifelong friends. It's true, but for sure, university is this one big networking experience. So definitely make the most out of it. Going into things in our school, we have this thing called the tunnels. So you don't actually have to go outside for anything in order to go to your classes, because I lived on residence. So I literally didn't have to go outside during the winter, which was a blessing. But obviously there were times where we had to go outside because it got a little bit stuffy. But just navigating the tunnels was another issue in itself, like being able to know where our classes are. My friends and I, we had to actually go days before to like see the route on where to go to our classes, just so the first day we wouldn't get too lost. But that was one thing that just taking initiative essentially is like the lesson from there. Another thing is being open-minded. Like I went to a school in Ottawa, so it was different from Jane and Finch, obviously. I went from knowing a lot of people to knowing absolutely no one and having to like basically start over type of thing, which was not too bad in itself. Like I made so many friends. I found like, I guess, a different side of me. I started speaking on issues such as like intersectionality, which I never would have spoken about if I were, I guess, staying here. It opened me up to issues that I wasn't like exposed to here. For example, like different types of racism. I was asked in my, I think it was first or second year when I told this girl from Jane and Finch, she asked me if I was a part of a gang. It kind of threw me back. But that's also a lesson. Like I was able to show them like it's not everything that they see on the media, because obviously they've never been here. So their perception of the community is just what they see on the media. And we all know how CBC reports on Jane and Finch. So there's no need to go there. But another great lesson is also, Kadar touched on it, is knowing when your TAs and your professors' office hours are. They are going to be the heart and soul of your academic like part to school. They will be able to help you navigate whether you have questions on papers, whether you need extensions. Those are the people you want to create those relationships with. I was able to get numerous amount of extensions with no hesitation, just because of the fact that I created those bonds and those relationships with the professors, and especially the TAs in first year. And it's not even about like going to the office hours and asking questions on like how to do an assignment, even if it's just to say hello, just so they know your name. Because at the end of the day, there's like over 100 students in the classroom and they don't necessarily care to know your name. So you're paying them to help you out. So make them know your name, essentially. Another thing is, before moving, I didn't want to go because of like financial issues. But my like what to tell you guys is, honestly, don't let that stop you from like going to university or doing whatever you want to do, whether it be college, university, or whatever else. Don't let your finances get in between of what you want to do. So essentially your dream, you just have to find ways to work around it, whether it be applying for OSAT, applying for grants, scholarships, whatever it is. They're honestly throwing away money, like obviously Google it, but they're throwing a money like it's crazy, and they don't tell you these things. So you have to like literally get up, go online and like Google all these things and apply for them, because it's free money, y'all. Like all you have to do is sometimes signatures, sometimes it's writing about yourself. Like they're paying you to write about yourself. Take that in. So it's crazy. I was able to get, I got a CBC scholarship in third year. Very random. I don't even recall it. So there's so many benefits to being able to go to university just by applying and just by wanting to be there. Another thing is balancing your time, okay? There's a time for games and there's a time to actually get your work done. I went from being under lockdown, because I have very, very strict parents, to having complete freedom. Like there was no one there to tell me what to do, how to do it, or whatever the case is. So obviously I was like, oh my gosh, I get to do whatever I want. But with that also came like, I had to learn when to like just chill out. I had to learn when to be able to go out, when to do my work. And that also helped a lot with having the friends that I have now. It's really, really important to surround yourselves with people who want you to thrive and want you to be successful. Not necessarily everyone who just makes jokes around, because those are the people who are going to be able to push you when you're down, or like motivate you to continue doing your work when there's times where you don't want to do anything, where you're feeling lazy. That helped me get through university a lot. We all ended up graduating together. In second year, we ended up getting a house, so we were roommates, and that helped a lot. We did everything together, which is maybe not so good, but like it ended up working out somehow. And the 6 of us connect to this day, and we met in first year, so it's not like I knew any of them prior. And that's where I was saying, like, the people that you know now, obviously you maintain those relationships, but be open to creating new relationships, because like I said, networking in university is honestly the main goal. Like, obviously you get your degree, but those relationships that you create are going to be the ones to help you out afterwards. Like, I told myself in first year, like, I wanted to know people from like different career paths, so I can get like, you know, those ones. Like, I want to know a doctor, I want to know a technician, whatever it is. And honestly, it's very, very beneficial, guys. It's crazy how you like benefit from all of that when you graduate. Like, those are the relationships that will help give you a career. And going back to like maintaining those relationships with your TAs, for those of you who want to do like your master's or your PhD or whatever other recommendations that you're going to need, sometimes like those requirements will require your TAs or like a professor to write those recommendations for you. That's where you connect with those professors that you've already, you know, had that relationship with, the bond, they know you. So obviously it's not going to be a hassle because they know who you are. But no, honestly, university has been a great experience for me. Obviously, working has been a struggle as well, because I had to balance working. I also had to balance going to school and going and like being in clubs. But it's all something that you just figure out. Like, everyone's experience is different. Like, what I tell you, what Kadar tells you, what Melissa's going to tell you, it's all going to be different, but the same in a way. But at the end of the day, you're all going to go through your different paths, whether you take our advices or not, obviously. Another thing is telling your professors, like, sometimes you have to just speak up. Okay, university, you're paying them. That's something I had to learn being there. You're paying them. So sometimes you're not going to agree with everything they have to say. Like, for example, I had a professor in, I think it was second year, who told me I was trying to do a story on karting in Ottawa. And he basically told me that's not like a thing. Like, it's not an issue. Find a different story. Okay. I still did the story anyways, but a year after, the University of Ottawa, there was a big story that broke. I'm not sure if you guys know, where there was a karting incident with, I believe it was a security guard and a student, and that just goes to show, like, obviously these things happen, but certain like people in this world don't necessarily, or they are not aware of the issues that maybe someone like me or you go through. So that's something that you have to teach them or show them. And using your voice, like finding your voice in university, is another very important thing, because if you just sit down and let people walk all over you, not necessarily bullying, but like, you know what I mean, like professors, and doing everything that they tell you to do, and you believing that everything they say is wrong. Sometimes they're wrong, and it's okay to correct them, because at the end of the day, you're paying their bill. Just remember that, but don't tell them I told you. But no, overall, honestly, university, for the most part, 10 out of 10. Like, I've gained relationships. I was able to, there's ups and downs, stress, but like Kadar said previously, finding those spaces at your school, where to go to, be okay to get that help, because you have to realize, like, it's okay to get the help you need. Sometimes your friends aren't going to be, they're not always the ones to go to, essentially, whether you have certain problems. So it's okay to get like an additional member to talk, or even just to vent. But no, overall, I can 100% say I enjoyed it. The move was worth it. Yeah, if you have the chance to go away for school, do it. Oh, and I forgot to mention one more thing, creating clubs. So like my friends and I, we created Black Student Alliance at our school, because we found that was something that was missing from our school. Essentially, like, there's all these, like, there's frosh, and there's before football games, I forget what they call them, where everybody goes drinking. That wasn't our thing. Like, we didn't care to do it, so we created Black Student Alliance, and that was like a great space for like Black students or people of color should just come chill. We had parties, we had networking opportunities, etc., etc. So just do it. Like if you have an idea, start a club. Like literally just do it. You never know. But yeah, good luck.
Frosh for me helped me navigate York way better than I would have if I never went to Frosh, because they kind of push everyone together in Frosh to engage with each other. So it's kind of like you meet people in your program, people that you never met before, people from all around the city, all around Ontario actually, all around the world actually. So it kind of was like an eye-opener for me coming from Westview and Jane Finch, seeing people I've never seen before that come from different backgrounds and that come from different places around the world. So Frosh really helped me. And Frosh, they kind of put you together in your college. So for me, I'm in Founders College, I'm a history student. So I was able to navigate people that are also in history with me, that are also the same major as me, seeing the same teachers as me, and attending the same classes as me. So it really helped me my first year. Sports events. So attending sports events really helped me. It really helped me navigate. So a lot of the sports events in my first year, I went to the football games, the basketball games, the soccer games. It's like something I never seen before, because coming from Westview where there's only like a couple hundred students, or going to York where there's 50,000 students at any given day at the campus. So you're going to games with huge crowds, pep rallies, a lot of different things that I never experienced when I went to Westview. So it really helped me navigate and familiarize with people in school. So it was really fun for me. Another thing would be cultural events. So make sure you go to the cultural events. The cultural events are the things that happen. It happens in the beginning of the semester and the beginning of each semester. So it happens in September and it happens in January. So that cultural events really helped me. So I was going to the Caribbean events, the African events, different type of parties, different type of things that were like happening. So you would have pep rallies, you'd have rap contests, you'd have singing contests, you'd have people coming out in different fashions, and it'd be really live. People would be on mics talking, all those things. So it was really fun, and it helped me engage with people that are my year, that are older than me, and that helped. Cultural events really helped me, because even then I was able to make relationships with people older than me. So they were able to help me to tell me what classes to take, what classes not to take, how to navigate school, how to navigate work and school, and just how to live the university life that I wasn't accustomed to. So it really dropped a couple of gems on me that I was able to, that really helped me go into Frosh and make those relationships. Moving on from that, finding places I could study at. Navigating unfamiliar environments is kind of difficult to find a place you're comfortable in studying at. So there's a couple of places that I've familiarized myself with, that finding places I can study. So places like Scott Library, different type of libraries that are smaller, the Lassonde Library, the Stedman Library. There's a lot of different libraries all around the York campus that are really low key, that if I didn't want to go to Scott Library, which is really big and really it's one of the biggest libraries in York, if I didn't want to go there and I wanted more of a quiet place to study, I'd go to the smaller libraries. So the Scott Library is really helpful too, because we'd come there, it'd be a lot of people in my classes, so we'd all sit in a table and just study the whole day. So it really helped having someone beside me that is going through the same thing as me. Maybe we're struggling, maybe we're not struggling, maybe we need help with the assignment, maybe we just need to talk to each other to get in the same mindset to do the assignment. It really helped me. And there's places like the Writing Center. So the Writing Center is in Scott Library. It's a writing center that helps me. Basically, it helps you prepare your essays and all your written documents in order to hand it in. So I would go bring my essay that's already done and talk to a person that's a graduate student or a student that's in their 4th or 5th year, that I was in my 1st year, and they would be able to read my essay, help me with my grammar, with my sentence structure, my thesis, all those things that I wasn't really accustomed to coming from high school to university. They're able to look at it and help me navigate that. So that was really helpful. So keep a lookout for the Writing Center, all those things when you go to your university or any other university, because they have writing centers in most universities in Ontario. So it's kind of the same. So writing centers, look out for those. They help you, and they can help you move along in the university. Student centers and clubs. So student centers and clubs are really helpful. So for me, I'm Somali, so I looked at the Somali Student Association as a club. So I was able to navigate with people that are the same ethnicity as me, or maybe not, because you could still join these student clubs even if you're not Somali. There's no exclusion or anything like that. I could join any club realistically. So it was really helpful joining these clubs and just meeting people meeting different people. So I was going to the African student centers, all those things, all those clubs. It really helped me, So like just student clubs and centers, they have events too. So they have parties, they have things where people go out to eat, they go paintballing, they go all around Toronto, they do things together. So it's kind of a tight net, like family kind of, So the student centers and clubs, they can really help you because they give you opportunities. And they can give you opportunities for employment because the person that works at the student center and the student clubs, they're employed and, they get, some of them do get paid. So it's like, it could really help you in a sense in navigating New York and familiarizing yourself with New York environment. Moving on from that, I'm kind of going into the financial aspect. So navigating New York is kind of difficult in a financial aspect. So you have to look out for the financial places. So for me, the financial place, it was kind of difficult navigating that because there's long wait times, especially in the beginning of the year. You also have to navigate what times of the days you could go. So for me, the way I looked at it, if I would go later on in the day, I'd be there for 2-3 hours, maybe waiting to talk to an advisor. But if I knew that if I went earlier in the morning, say 9 o'clock, as soon as it opened, I'd be in and out in 10 minutes, and my problem would be done with. So just navigating how to talk to the representatives at the financial office. Bursaries, they tell you a lot about bursaries. So that's bursaries it's money that can help you. It's basically money that has no it's not tied to anything. They basically give you money to help you. So it could pay for your books, it could pay for food, it could pay for where you live, it could pay for anything. So bursaries, finding out what the bursaries are and what bursaries you want to apply to that can help you in your situation. So financially, the financial offices, they can give you a lot of help if you just have a relationship with them and they really help and engage with them and go and talk to them. The thing I'd have to talk about is finding places to eat. Finding places to eat at York is kind of difficult because there's a lot of brand name food places. There's Wendy's, there's pizza places, there's Popeyes, and you also have to look at where are the places at York. There's smaller places like these small pubs and these small places that serve food for lower prices and have better food, like home cooked food. You know what I mean? So just navigating where at York you can find food, where you could eat, where you could spend time to study and eat at the same time. So there's a lot of places at York, even before class, I'll go there, eat breakfast. Go there after class, go eat lunch. There's a lot of places at York you have to look out for. There's a snail pub. There's places that give chicken for on Tuesdays for cheap. There's a lot of different places you have to look out for at York that serve good food for low prices. Just for helping all of us. So that's the Stacy Science Engineering Library. It's a nice quiet library to study. You could go print your work, you could go chill. It's kind of different from Scott Library. It's different. The student center. This is the old student center. Wendy's is in there. All the student clubs are in there. There's a nice chicken spot on the left. If you walk in on the left, there's a lot of places to chill in there. This is Scott Library. Scott Library is the biggest library in New York. This is where most of the books are. This is where you can print your assignments. This is where the writing center is, really useful, and it's just a nice place to chill. This is the Scott Religious Center. Whatever religion you are, or you could go here, have a nice place to chill, a nice place to pray, a nice place to congregate. Whatever you believe in, it's a nice place to go to. The Jane and Finch Hub. This is where I was working during the year when everything was open. This is the Jane and Finch Hub. This is the SBL space at York, the first SBL space ever. I was happy when they opened this because there wasn't a lot of spaces at York for people for Jane and Finch. But as soon as they opened this, everyone is using it. This is the writing department. So the writing department is where you could go and take your assignments and your essays and your theses and go and help and go and get help from a graduate student or a student that's in their 4th or 5th year to help you, navigate how to write an essay, grammar, all those things, sentence structures. So it's really helpful. Make sure you take use of this also. This is the new student center. This was newly built. I think it was built in my 2nd year. It has everything in it. It has another prayer place. It has food places, and it has a nice place to chill. It has a nice view, and it's just a nice place to chill at. Everyone might be more familiar with this because this is where SBL runs out of during the summer. This is the Osgood Hall. This is another place to chill. It's nice and quiet. You can go study. There's food places in it. It's a different environment because it's a law school. So you can meet law students, maybe engage with them. Maybe if you want to go to law, you could talk to them. It's a different place. This is the place where I probably spent most of my time at York. This is Tate McKenzie. It's the gym. It has 2 gyms, swimming pool, workout center. This is where you can go blow off some steam. There's even study rooms at the top where you can go study if you're not going to work out or play basketball. It's multi-use place. There's a Bergeron Center of Engineering. I think this is the most beautiful structure in New York, in my opinion, at least, because it's newly built and it's like one of the biggest places in New York. This is another place to go and study. They have state-of-the-art TV, state-of-the-art science, state-of-the-art engineering. You know, you go there and chill, meet engineering students, conversate, study, a lot of different things there, multi-use.
I am a second-year PhD student in the Department of Sociology at York. My journey to university was a little bit different. I did go to college first. It's funny because I always thought that I would go to university, but anti-Black racism in high school kind of made me feel as though university wasn't an option for me. And I listened to people who had no background and no grounds in any truth to make me feel as though I didn't belong there. And instead I made the decision to go to college. But in saying that, college was a totally different experience than university, and I find that having that background in college helps me appreciate university as well and college as well. It was more hands-on in college. I got to do placements where it's not as much, in some departments you don't get that option to do placements in university. So when I did start in uni, I got transfer credits because I had already done 2 years of college, which kind of put me ahead of most people in my cohort in my department. So instead of coming in my first year, I ended up coming in my second 2.5 years in with the transfer credits that I got. And although I had the experience of college, it was still very intimidating going to university. I didn't know what to expect. I had never attended a tutorial. I didn't know what a tutorial was. So I found that talking to people in my first course is what kind of helped to prepare me for other courses. Also, the very first course that I took in university, I did it in the summer. And I found that helped to prepare me for the fall, because it was really overwhelming in September when everybody was on campus at the same time. Starting off in a summer course was a lot more beneficial for me, so that I got time to kind of go around the campus and see where everything was without having to deal with the hustle and bustle of the fall crowd coming in. And then it wasn't as intimidating because I had already made a few friends and whatnot. One thing I can definitely say that has helped me in my undergraduate journey was to connect with people in my courses who are in the same program as me, because not everybody who's in your courses is in your program. So once I did find 2 people that I could connect with, we ended up taking all of our courses straight through until the very end. We ended up graduating together. We were able to create study groups just with the 3 of us so that we could help one another. We could look over each other's papers. And like Kadiatu is saying, like being in a course where you have maybe 300 people, 300 students sometimes, can be really intimidating to ask a question. So it was really helpful to have that smaller group that we could bounce our ideas or our opinions off of each other to see if maybe if I missed something, one of my friends was able to explain it to me a little bit better. I also found that being a part of the student association in my department gave me somewhat of an insider's perspective and an insider's relationship with my professors, because they don't get the chance to get to know you that well, and a lot of times they don't interact with you outside of class. But because I was a part of the student undergrad association in my department, I got to see these professors throughout the department almost every day. And then, have those conversations that we weren't able to have in class, get to know them in ways that I would have never been able to interact with them in class. And then when they do see me in the course now, it's not like I'm just another student. They can acknowledge me, we can, build some type of rapport. And I found that also helped in grading. I know that it's supposed to be a very objective process, but it's not. And the more your professor knows you and the more your TA has a relationship with you, the better your grades tend to be. I'm a TA myself now for a first year course, and I always tell my students that I don't worry about the students who reach out and come and see me in my office hours and send me a bunch of emails, ask me questions. I worry about the ones who don't do that. That I don't know if they're understanding the information. I don't know if they're getting anything out of the course at all. So definitely take advantage of your TAs and, use them to look over your papers. Even if you're not if you're not comfortable going to the writing center, you can reach out to your TA. And most of the time, I know I definitely do, make an effort to look over student papers and give them feedback before they even submit it. Another thing too to keep in mind is that you're entitled to special accommodations through the university, so that if you do have a learning disability, if there are things that make it, that would make your workload easier, you can get a note taker. All of these things are paid for through your tuition on top of that. So if you need someone that will take notes for you, you can do that. If you need an extension on your assignments, you can do that. You just have to go to, I know at York it's called the accessibility office. And when you go there, they will give you a document that you then submit to your TA or to your course director. And then we would give you accommodations to help you do better in the course. And I find that a lot of students don't know about this. And when I mention it to them, they have long-standing things that they've been working through, even through high school, but they just didn't know that they can apply for extra help in university. So that's something to keep in mind. When it comes to study spaces on campus, I found that booking study rooms was always very helpful. I like Scott Library, but Scott Library gets really loud. So especially when it's like exam time, it can be pretty crazy and it's really, really hard to find a quiet space. So what I used to do is I would go to Schulich, which is the business school, and they have an amazing library in there. And when you go, most of the time, there's not really a lot of people in there. So that would be sort of my quiet space. And then because I was a part of the student association, we had an office in our department that was just for the members of the association, and we would study in there or do group assignments or whatever. So that's another perk of being a part of the student association. I would definitely agree with Kadiatu to say that you should speak up and learn how to advocate for yourself. And if you need something, you need to let your professors know what it is that you need. I know when I was in high school, it was kind of like I expected my teachers to look out for me and to give me all of the information. But when you're in university, even in your first year, you're really on your own, especially now with the way things are, where we're doing everything virtually. You don't get to have that one-on-one in person. You're not running into your professors in the hallway. We don't get to build that relationship with you all. So if you are going through something, or if you need extra help and you're not understanding things, take it upon yourself to reach out to them, because we want to hear from you and we want to interact with you and we want to build a relationship with you. But if you don't let us know what's going on and then you see your mark at the end of the term is not what it's really difficult for us to do anything at that point. So if you feel like you're overwhelmed or, just transitioning from high school to university is difficult, especially during, pandemic. We don't know what things will be like next September, but take it upon yourself to let your professors and TAs know that, you're having a hard time, and it's okay, because I guarantee you that you're not the only one. What else can I tell you? Oh, something else too is that, like the other speakers have said, universities have a lot of money and they like to give this money out to students, but if you don't apply for it, you're not going to get it. And the very first thing I was told by another student when I started at York was fill out your student financial profile. It is something that you do online. You just go on there, you type in a little bit of information, and then you don't even have to reapply every term. They automatically keep you in the system and they will send you free money every term, and it just goes into your student account. And, this is money, like Kadar is saying, you can use it for books, you can use it for food, but realistically, you can use it for anything you want, outside of the university. So that is definitely what I would advise you all to do. Fill out your student financial profile. I have so many students in my first year course that they don't even know that this thing exists. And the money is literally sitting there waiting for someone to apply for it. Also, keep in mind that there are internal scholarships that you can apply for and external scholarships that you can apply for. And like Kadiatu is saying, is that a lot of times they just want to hear your story, right? And, a lot of you who are coming from the Jane and Finch community, you have a very unique experience that people want to know and they want to hear about. And I would definitely advise you to use your experiences to your advantage and don't think of them as a barrier to your success, because they're not. And you can capitalize off of those experiences in a number of different ways. I myself also lived in Ottawa for 4 years, and what you're saying about people automatically assuming that, you know, you're in a gang, or, you know, like they have this idea of what Toronto is like. So leaving Toronto and going to these other cities to kind of break down those misconceptions and stereotypes of what Toronto is like, or what even Jane and Finch is like, is really also very important too. I found that going outside of the community that I had grown up in was very beneficial for me, because it gave me an opportunity to learn who I was and what it is that I enjoyed, and grow in a way that I don't think I could have ever grown had I stayed where I was around the same people that I had grown up with my entire life. It broadened my perspective to different cultures, to different lifestyles, and university in general is going to do that. It's going to expose you to people and opportunities that you would have not been able to have otherwise. So for those of you who are considering, not sure if you're going to want to, I think that you should take the step to just apply.
The bridge between high school and university, what do you think another big struggle was for you?
Okay, in like the first week of class, you're gonna get your syllabus, okay? It'll tell you everything you need to do for that semester, whether it be assignments, readings, what books you need to get. Take advantage of that, because in first year, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I didn't take a little advantage, but I always told myself, oh, bare time, like I'll just do it later on, like bare time, I have enough time to do this work. And then next thing you know, it's midterms, you have all these papers due and you're like stressing, and that just creates like unnecessary stress. Whereas in the beginning, if you had taken the time to like organize yourself properly, start doing some of those readings, maybe like start tackling some of those assignments or whatever the case is, it'll save you so much time from like stressing about like midterms and papers due last minute and all that stuff. And you'll notice the difference. Like you will notice how much easier it is to do your work and to like study for those tests and exams when you do them ahead of time. Whereas if you wait till last minute, because nobody's gonna tell you to start studying, when you wait till last minute, it's stress that I don't even want to describe. It's not cute.
TA, I just want to say that, you know, when first year students come in, we have really high expectations of you, that you know how to, you know, proper sentence structure and paragraph structure and things like that. But what I've come to find is that a lot of students coming from high school, they don't know how to write a proper paragraph or a proper sentence. So don't wait until you're in your third or fourth year when those grades, if you're planning on going to grad school, they look at the last 2 years of university, right? So you don't want to have bad grades in your third and fourth year. So don't wait that long to get the help. You want to start from your first year to get on track with writing at a university level. Sometimes as TAs and as professors, we want to hear what you have to say. We don't want to stand there for 2 and 3 hours just lecturing to you. We're really trying to like pull information out of you so it's an engaging conversation. I find it from my experience that the courses where nobody participates are the most boring courses, where you're just sitting there and the prof is talking for 3 hours. It's really difficult to stay engaged and stay interested. That's just my opinion. When it's open conversation and dialogue, it's just more enjoyable. So don't feel like what you're thinking, I guarantee you other people in the course are thinking the exact same.
How do you guys balance your classes? And how do you balance work in class while you're at Westview right now? See if any of you guys work right now.
Right now I have like a little job, so it's not like a whole 8 hours. So like for me, I'll just work like on the weekends, let's say if I'm in university, because I don't want it to get into the way with my schoolwork. I feel like I'll first prioritize my schoolwork and then match it up with basically match up my schedule with my school.
How hard is it to ask for help in school, especially like in university, whereas Melissa and Kriatu were saying there's like 200, 100 people in your classes, like raising your hand in front of everyone and just asking a question?
To be honest, it depends on like the question. Like if it's something like, oh, just need a clarification, then I'll ask like right away. If it's something that needs like more explanation, I'll just wait till after class.
now I'm in my first year. I just entered my first year. And then the biggest tip of advice that I can give people right now is, especially online, you're gonna have to study on your own, because that's like a given. So then try to figure out the way that you learn, because because I know people learn through pictures or just listening and stuff. Because once you can figure out the best method for you to learn, that's gonna be a really big boost over people who are still figuring that out. Plus, just overall have like a good work ethic. Like for instance, like I know people want to play video games and stuff. So then if you have like a set schedule, be like, all right, I have time after my lecture, I'll review and do some practice problems and stuff like that, and just kind of keeping like small incremental progress. Like if you have an assignment, you don't need to finish it in one day. If you can do it over like 2-3 days, give yourself like an extra 20-30 minutes a day to just chill. That's better than just cramming it out on one day and just feeling really burnt out.